The Khazari shock troops moved fast through the cold, dark space toward the human outpost called Epsilon 9. The ship was quiet, except for the low hum of engines and the soft clicks of their claws on metal floors. War Prime Vexcar stood at the front of the boarding team. His 6 limbs flexed under heavy armor plates. He was tall, even for a Khazari, and his red eyes glowed with the promise of battle. The squad behind him carried big weapons, plasma lances, shock mauls, and neurowhips. They had trained many times for this kind of raid. Intelligence said the humans made something terrible inside that station. Something escaped from their labs, something big and angry that broke walls and killed guards. The last message from the humans was short and full of fear. It talked about a monster 8 meters tall, with hard skin and sharp teeth. The Khazari commanders laughed at first. Humans always make big mistakes. Then the laughter stopped when more reports came in. The thing was real. Winning. Pause. Vexcar felt ready. This would be a good hunt. His people were the strongest in this part of space. Their bodies were built for war. Natural armor covered them like living steel. Their claws could cut through most metals. Their strength let them tear enemies apart. The humans were small and weak. Everyone knew that. The Khazari came to take the station, clean it of the monster, and claim the research for themselves. Easy work, easy glory. The transport ship docked with a hard bump. The airlock hissed open. The troops poured out in tight formation. 2 in front with shields, 3 behind with heavy guns. Others spread to the sides. Vexcar led them down the main corridor. The lights were dim and some flickered. The air smelled of burned wires and old blood. They passed broken doors and black marks on the walls. Something big had been here. Something very strong. Vexcar raised one claw to signal stop. The squad froze. They listened. Nothing moved. The only sound was their own breathing through. Helmet filters. He pointed forward. They advanced again. Slow steps. Careful steps. Every corner checked. Every shadow watched. They reached the big central hall, the place where the labs connected to the living areas. The doors here were thick, blast-proof. The humans built them to hold monsters inside. Now the doors hung open like broken jaws. Pieces of metal lay scattered across the floor. Vexcar stepped over a twisted piece of hull plating. His boots crunched on glass and plastic. Inside the hall, the lights were brighter but still unsteady. Long tables stood empty. Chairs lay on their sides. Papers and data pads were everywhere. Some screens still glowed with red warning messages. Containment breach. Critical failure. Evacuate now. The words repeated over and over. Vexcar turned to his second-in-command, Subprime Krell. Krell's mandibles clicked once. He did not like this quiet. It felt wrong. Vexcar agreed. The monster should have attacked by now. It should have roared. It should have charged. They were ready for that. They wanted that. Instead, the station felt empty. Too empty. They moved deeper, past more broken walls, past rooms with overturned equipment, past blood on the floor. Not much blood, just enough to show fighting happened. Vexcar sniffed the air. His nostrils flared under the helmet filter. Fear lingered in the smell, along with something else, something strange, like wet earth and metal mixed together. A low sound came from ahead, a soft scrape, like something heavy dragged across the deck. The troops stopped again. Weapons came up. Plasma coils glowed blue. The sound grew closer. Slow, steady, patient. Vexcar felt his heart beat faster. This was it. The moment. The monster was coming. The corridor ahead was dark at first. Then a shape appeared. Tall, wide, dangerous. The troops tensed. Their claws tightened on triggers. Vexcar stepped forward 1 pace. He wanted to see it clearly. He wanted to be the first to strike. The shape stepped into the light. It was not 8 meters tall. It was not covered in hard plates. It did not have 6 glowing eyes or rows of teeth. It was small. much smaller than any Khazari. It wore a simple jumpsuit torn at one sleeve. The color was faded gray with dark stains that looked like oil and something redder. Hair hung loose around a human face. Two eyes looked straight at them. One hand held a metal cup, the other rested easy at her side. The human stopped. She looked at the line of huge armored warriors. She blinked once. Then she spoke in a calm voice. "You are early. The mess hall is still cleaning up from last shift." Vexkar stared. His mind tried to understand. This could not be right. This could not be the thing that broke the station. This could not be the nightmare the humans feared. The troops behind him shifted. Uneasy clicks came from their mandibles. One young soldier let out a low hiss of confusion. The human took a small drink from her cup. Steam rose from it. She did not run. She did not scream. Look, scared. She just stood there like this was normal, like shock troops with big guns came every day. Vexkar spoke through his translator. The voice came out deep and hard. "Identify yourself now." The human lowered the cup. She wiped her mouth with the back of one hand. "My name is Elena Voss. I work here in xenobiology. You must be the help command said would come, though your door trick is messy." A trooper behind Vexkar whispered, "She is joking. She thinks we are here to fix things." Another answered, "She is the monster. Maybe she changed shape." Vexkar ignored them. He kept his eyes on the human. His plasma lance stayed pointed at her chest. "You will explain the monster. The transmission said it killed many. It broke everything." Elena Voss looked at the broken door behind the Khazari. Then she looked back at him. "Yes, we had a problem. Specimen K-47 got out. It was not fun, but it is handled now." "Handled," Vexkar repeated the word, like it tasted bad. "Here alone. No guards, no weapons. You say it is handled." She gave a small smile. "Not alone, not really. Come see for yourself, but maybe put the guns down first. Kevin does not like loud noises." "Kevin?" Vexkar asked. She nodded toward the dark hall behind her. "That is what we call him. He likes the name." A deep rumble came from that same dark hall. Something moved. Something big. The floor shook just a little. The troops raised weapons again. Vexkar felt the thrill of battle rise in his blood. This time it was real. This time the monster showed itself. Elena Voss did not move. She lifted one hand in a calm gesture. "Easy, boys. They are guests." The rumble grew louder. Heavy steps came closer. The air grew thick. Something huge filled the doorway behind her. Vexkar braced himself. The hunt was on. The human just sipped her drink again and waited. Vexkar stood frozen, with his plasma lance still aimed at the small human woman named Elena Voss. His squad stayed behind him, in tight formation, but their claws trembled just a little. The huge shape called Kevin filled the doorway behind her. 8 meters of black segmented plates gleamed under the flickering lights. 6 red eyes stared down at the Khazari troops. Long talons scraped the deck with every slow breath. The fear smell rolled out from the creature in thick waves. It made the air feel heavy and wrong. Several young troopers hissed low in their throats. Their natural instincts screamed, "Danger! Run! Fight or die!" Elena Voss did not move. She took another slow sip from her metal cup, then set it down on a nearby crate with a soft clink. She looked straight at Vexkar, without fear. Her face stayed calm, almost bored. "You still think I am the monster?" she asked in a quiet voice. Vexkar forced his mandibles to stay still. He spoke through the translator again, loud and sharp. "Explain everything. The monster, the breach, the deaths. We came to end it." She nodded once, like she understood. Then she turned halfway toward Kevin and patted one thick armored plate near his lower jaw. "Easy, big guy. These are new people. Not food. Not yet." The creature Kevin let out a deep rumble. It sounded like faraway thunder, mixed with a cat purr. The red eyes blinked slowly, one by one. The fear smell dropped a little. Not gone, but weaker. The troops felt their hearts slow just enough to think again. Vexcar lowered his lance one small bit. Not all the way. He kept his voice hard. You claim this thing obeys you? A bioweapon made to terrify and kill? You tamed it. How? Helena shrugged one shoulder. It was not hard once we figured out the trick. She stepped closer to Kevin and scratched under one of the smaller armor plates near his neck. The monster leaned into her hand like a big pet. The movement looked strange on something so huge and deadly. Kevin here was built from old human stories. Nightmares made real. The scientists wanted a perfect terror beast, something that grows stronger when people feel scared. They added glands that release fear chemicals. The more panic, the stronger he gets. She stopped scratching and looked back at the Khazari squad. That worked great in tests, until it did not. One trooper named Zeth whispered to the one next to him. She talks about it like a lab rat, not a killer. Another answered, maybe she is crazy. Humans break easy. Vexcar ignored the whispers. He stepped forward one pace. Tell us what happened. The transmission said the monster tore through guards, drones, walls, everything. Elena sighed and rubbed her eyes with one hand. Yeah, it started bad. We lost 6 people in the first hour. Kevin got loose because of a power surge. The locks failed. He rampaged through 3 levels, smashed everything in his path. The fear from the dying made him bigger, stronger, faster. We could not stop him with guns or gas. She paused and looked at Kevin again. The creature lowered his main head until his smallest eyes were level with her face. She reached up and touched the edge of his maw. No teeth came out, no snap, just a soft huff of warm air. Then I went in alone, she continued. Everyone else ran or hid. I figured if fear made him worse, then no fear might make him better. So I walked right up to him. No gun, no armor, just me and a stupid idea. I looked him in the eyes and said, hey, stop being mean. The squad made low clicks of disbelief. Vexcar felt his own confusion grow. You spoke to it, like a child. Pretty much, she said. I talked soft. I did not run. I did not scream. I treated him like he was scared too, not angry. Turns out the fear glands only work when there is real terror to feed on. When I stayed calm, the chemicals stopped pumping. His size dropped, his rage dropped. After a few hours, he just followed me around like a lost puppy. We named him Kevin because the intern who suggested the fear tweak was named Kevin. It stuck. Kevin rumbled again. This time it sounded almost happy. He shifted his weight, and one long talon tapped the floor like a drum. The sound echoed through the hall. Vexcar stared at the scene. His mind fought to accept it. A monster built to destroy now acted tame because one small human refused to be afraid. He looked at his squad. Many still held weapons up, but their aim wavered. Some stared with wide eyes. Others clicked mandibles in nervous patterns. Subprime Krell moved closer to Vexcar and spoke low. Warprime, this makes no sense. A creature like that should kill her first, yet it protects her. Vexcar nodded once. He turned back to Elena. You expect us to believe this story? You tamed a nightmare with words and calm? She gave a small laugh. Not just words. Touch too. Food, treats, routine. Mostly, though, it was about trust. He imprinted on me like a baby animal does with its mother. Once he decided I was safe, the monster part shut down. Guards the station. Guards me. Guards anything I tell him to guard. She pointed at the broken door where the Xari came in. You blew that open. He could have charged you. He could have ripped your team apart in seconds. But he waited because I said wait. Kevin lifted his head and looked at the Xari again. His nostrils flared wide. He sniffed the air, tasting their fear. The red eyes narrowed a little. Elena noticed and spoke quick. Easy, Kevin. Friends, not enemies. The creature huffed once, then settled back down. He curled part of his long tail around her legs like a shield. Vexgar felt cold run through his limbs. This was not how war worked. This was not how hunts ended. Enemies died. Heroes won. Glory came from blood, not from stories of calm words and pets. He raised his lance again, not to fire, just to feel its weight. You will surrender the station, the research, the creature, we take it all. Elena looked at him for a long moment. Then she shook her head. No, I do not think so. Kevin and I like it here. Command can send more teams if they want, but they will meet the same thing you did. A door, a human, a monster who listens to the human. She stepped forward one pace, right into the open space between the Khazari and her own monster. You can try to take us. You have numbers. You have guns. But Kevin has teeth, and he really does not like it when people point guns at me. Kevin growled low. The sound rolled through the floor and up the walls. The fear smell came back stronger now, aimed at the troops. Several Khazari stepped back without thinking. Zeth dropped his shock maul. It clanged loud on the deck. Vexgar held his ground, but his grip felt weak. He looked from the tiny human to the giant nightmare and back again. His mission orders rang in his head. Secure the station. Eliminate the threat. Claim the asset. None of those orders matched what stood in front of him. Elena picked up her cup again. She took one last sip, then set it down. You have a choice, she said. Leave now, or stay, and find out how Laurel a monster can be when he thinks his mom is in danger. The hall grew very quiet. Only breathing and the soft scrape of Kevin shifting his weight broke the silence. Vexgar stared at her face. No fear, no anger, just calm certainty. He slowly lowered his lance, all the way this time. Vexgar kept his lance lowered, but his grip stayed tight on the handle. He stared at Elena Voss and the massive creature Kevin that stood behind her like a living wall. The fear smell still hung in the air, but now it came mostly from his own squad, not from the monster. The Khazari troops shifted their weight from one set of legs to another. Their red eyes flicked between the small human woman and the nightmare she called her pet. No one spoke for a long moment. The only sounds were the soft hum of damaged lights overhead, and the slow, heavy breathing of Kevin. Elena crossed her arms over her chest. She looked at Vexgar with steady eyes. You look like you want to fight, she said, but you also look like you want to live. Which one is it going to be? Vexgar felt anger rise in his chest. He was War Prime of a shock troop elite, chosen for the hardest missions. He had killed beasts on a dozen worlds, torn apart enemies twice his size. Yet here he stood facing a tiny unarmed human and a monster that refused to attack because she told it not to. The situation made no sense. His pride screamed to give the order to fire. His training screamed to assess the threat first. He spoke slow and careful. We came for the station, for the research, for the creature. You will not stop us. Elena tilted her head a little. You sure about that? She stepped to one side so Kevin had a clear line to the Khazari squad. The monster lifted his main head higher. 6 red eyes locked onto Vexgar. One claw rose and tapped the deck once. The sound rang like metal on stone. Kevin does not like threats, she explained. He gets protective when people point big guns at me. Right now, he thinks you are rude guests. If you shoot, he will not ask questions. He will just act. Subprime Krell moved up beside Vexgar and spoke low. War Prime, we outnumber them. We have superior range. We can drop the beast before it reaches us. Then take the female. Vexgar glanced at Krell. The subprime looked eager, clicked with hunger for combat. Vexgar felt the same pull. But something held him back. He remembered the old stories his elders told about humans, the small ones, who survived impossible odds, the ones who turned enemies into allies, the ones who laughed at death. He had always thought those stories were weak excuses. Now, he wondered. Elena watched them talk. She did not interrupt. She just waited like she had all the time in the galaxy. Finally, she spoke again. You want proof? Fine. Watch this. She turned to Kevin and used a soft voice. Hey, big guy, go fetch the blue crate from storage room 3, the one with the spare power cells. Kevin rumbled once, a deep sound that vibrated the floor. He turned his huge body with surprising grace and walked down the side corridor. His talons clicked with each step. The troops parted fast to let him pass. None wanted to be close when those claws moved. The monster disappeared around the corner. Elena looked back at Vexcar. See? He listens, fears me, because he trusts me. Big difference. Vexcar narrowed his eyes. You think that makes him safe? A creature built to kill can never be safe. She shrugged. Maybe not safe, but controlled. And right now he is on my side, not yours. Minutes passed. The squad stayed ready. Weapons hummed. Power cells glowed. The tension grew thicker with every second. Then heavy steps returned. Kevin came back around the corner. He carried a large blue crate in 2 of his forward limbs, like it weighed nothing. He set it down gently, in front of Elena, without breaking anything. The crate lid popped open to show rows of glowing power cells. Good boy, Elena said. She reached up and scratched the underside of his jaw plate. Kevin leaned into the touch, with a low, happy rumble. His tail swept once across the floor, knocking over an empty chair. Vexcar stared. The monster that tore through guards and drones now acted like a trained beast, fetching supplies. He felt his certainty crack. This was not a hunt anymore. This was something else. Something he did not understand. Krell hissed low. War Prime, we waste time. She plays games. Let us end this. Vexcar raised one claw to silence him. He stepped forward, closer to Elena. His voice came out quieter now. Tell me why you stay. Why not run? Why not kill it? Elena looked up at him straight in the eyes. Because he is not just a weapon anymore. He is alive. He feels things. He gets lonely. He gets scared. When I first met him, he was raging, because everything around him was terrified. Now he has someone who is not scared. He has a purpose. He guards. He protects. He even plays sometimes. She smiled a little. He likes chasing laser pointers across the floor. You should see it sometime. A few troopers made soft clicks of surprise. One young one named Zeth whispered, Laser pointers? For that thing? Elena heard him and laughed short and clear. Yeah, he knocks over half the furniture, but he loves it. Vexcar felt strange. His anger mixed with confusion. He had come expecting blood and glory. Now he faced a story of trust and play. He looked at Kevin again. The monster watched him back. No rage in the eyes, just calm waiting. Elena spoke again. You can still leave. No shame in it. Your commanders sent you blind. They did not know what waited here. Go back. Tell them the monster is contained. The station is secure under new rules. Vexcar shook his head slow. We do not retreat. We finish missions. Then finish it, she said, or try. Her voice stayed calm, but steel ran under the words. Because if you start shooting, Kevin will finish it for me. And he does not miss. Kevin growled low again. The sound rolled through the hall like warning thunder. He shifted his weight forward. One claw scraped deep lines in the metal floor. The Xari squad tightened their formation. Weapons rose higher. Plasma coils brightened. Vexcar felt the moment balance on a knife edge. One word from him, and the hall would explode in fire and blood. Looked at Elena one more time. She stood small between him and the monster. No armor, no weapon, just calm eyes and steady hands. He thought of the stories again. The human who tamed the storm. The small one who broke the unbreakable. He hated the idea that those stories might be true. But he hated dying more. Vexcar lowered his lance completely. He spoke loud so all could hear. Stand down, all of you. Weapons dropped slow, one by one. Plasma hums faded. The squad clicked mandibles in confusion, but they obeyed. Elena nodded once. Good choice. Kevin stopped growling. He settled back on his haunches and watched the Khazari with half-closed eyes. Vexcar took one step back. We will report this. The Empire will send more forces. Bigger forces. Elena picked up her metal cup from the crate. She took a sip, then answered, Let them come. Kevin and I will be here. We have nowhere else to go. She turned to the monster. Come on, big guy. Time to check the outer seals. More rude guests sneak in. Kevin rose and followed her down the corridor. His huge form moved careful around her small steps. They disappeared together into the shadows. Vexcar stood in the quiet hall. His squad waited for orders. He felt empty. No victory, no defeat, just questions. He looked at the blue crate still sitting on the floor. Power cells glowed soft inside. He turned to his troops. Back to the ship. We leave. They moved slow. No rush, no pride. Just quiet steps through the broken doors. Behind them the station lights steadied. The old alarms stayed silent. The hunt was over, but the story was just beginning. Vexcar led his squad back through the broken main corridor. Their steps echoed loud in the sudden quiet. No one spoke much. The thrill of the hunt had vanished, leaving only heavy silence and confused clicks from mandibles. The troops kept glancing behind them, half expecting the monster Kevin to charge from the shadows. But nothing came. Only the soft hum of station systems and the distant scrape of something large moving far away. They reached the breached airlock. The transport ship waited, with its ramp down. Red emergency lights pulsed across the hull. Vexcar stopped at the edge of the ramp. He turned to face his team. Subprime Krell stood closest. His eyes still burned with unfinished anger. The others looked tired and unsure. Warprime Krell said, We return empty-handed. No trophy, no kill, no station. The commanders will not accept this. Vexcar met his gaze. We return alive. That matters more than pride right now. Krell hissed low. You let a human female and her pets stop us. Unarmed human. She was not unarmed, Vexcar answered. She had something stronger than weapons. She had control. Zeth, the young trooper, spoke up for the first time. His voice stayed quiet. She spoke to it like family. It listened like family. How does a monster become family? No one answered right away. The question hung between them like smoke. Vexcar thought back to the hall, to Elena Voss, standing small and calm while 8 meters of nightmare guarded her back. He remembered the way Kevin lowered his head for scratches, the way the fear smell faded when she touched him. He remembered her words, trust not fear. He shook his head once. We go inside the ship, report what we saw, exactly as it happened. No lies, no exaggeration. The truth is strange enough. The squad filed up the ramp, one by one. They took seats in the troop bay. Armor clanked against metal benches. The pilot waited at the controls. He looked back when the last trooper boarded. All secure. Vexcar gave the nod. Us out. Slow. No sudden moves. The ship detached with a gentle push. The station Epsilon 9 grew smaller in the view screen, black and silent against the stars. Vexcar stood at the front viewport. He watched until the outpost became just a speck. Then he turned away. In the troop bay, Krell sat with his claws locked together. He spoke to no one in particular. The Empire will send a fleet next time. Bigger guns, more troops. They will burn it clean. Maybe, Vexcar said, or maybe they will listen first. Krell laughed, sharp and bitter. Listen to what? A story about a human who tamed a terror beast with kind words. Zeth looked up from his seat. It worked once. Why not again? The older troopers clicked mandibles in doubt, but no one argued loud. The memory of Kevin stayed fresh. 6 red eyes, calm rumble, huge body, waiting for one small voice. Vexkar walked to his command chair. He sat heavy. The console lit up with status reports. All systems green. No damage, no casualties. Perfect mission on paper, yet it felt like failure. He opened a secure channel to Fleet Command. His voice stayed level. This is War Prime Vexkar of Shock Team 9. Mission report follows. He told everything. The breach, the quiet halls, the human who walked out instead of a monster. The story of Specimen K-47. The name Kevin. The way fear stopped when calm began. The refusal to surrender. The choice to leave. He left out nothing. When he finished, the channel stayed silent for a long time. Then a voice answered from the other end. Acknowledged, War Prime. Return to base for debrief. Full review required. The channel closed. Vexkar leaned back. He felt tired in his bones, not from battle, but from questions without answers. Hours passed on the journey home. The squad ate rations in silence. Some slept. Others stared at nothing. Vexkar did not sleep. He thought about Elena Voss, alone on that station with her monster. He wondered if she felt afraid now, or if calm was her true armor. Back at the Khazari forward base, the ship docked under bright floodlights. Officers waited on the platform. Vexkar stepped out first. His squad followed in tight formation. A senior commander, named Overprime Thalor, stood at the front. His armor shone gold and black. His eyes narrowed when he saw no prisoners, no spoils. Report, Thalor said, short and clear. Vexkar repeated the story one more time. No changes, no additions. When he spoke of Kevin fetching the blue crate, a few officers clicked mandibles in surprise. When he described Elena patting the monster like a pet, the clicks turned to low hisses. Thalor listened without interruption. When Vexkar finished, the Overprime paced once, then stopped. You saw this with your own eyes. Yes, War Prime. Every word is true. Thalor looked at the squad. They nodded, one by one. Even Krell gave a short nod, though his mandibles stayed tight. The Overprime rubbed one claw along his jaw. This changes plans. We expected a simple. Now we face something new. A human who turns weapons into guardians. He turned to an aide. Prepare a priority message to High Command. Include full sensor logs, visual records from helmet feeds, everything. The aide hurried away. Thalor looked back at Vexkar. You and your team will stay on base. Restricted duties until review completes. No shame in survival. But questions remain. Vexkar bowed his head once. Understood. Overprime. The squad dispersed to quarters. Vexkar walked alone down the long corridor. Lights glowed steady here. No flickering. No blood smells. He entered his small room. Removed his armor piece by piece. Each plate clanked when it hit the floor. He stood in his undersuit, feeling lighter but not free. He sat on the bunk and stared at the wall. A hollow screen hung there. He activated it and pulled up the helmet feed from the mission. He watched the moment Elena stepped into view. Small torn jumpsuit, coffee cup in hand. He watched Kevin appear. Huge, calm, obedient. He paused the feed on the frame where Elena scratched under Kevin's jaw. The monster's eyes half closed in trust. Vexkar stared a long time. He felt something shift inside him. Not anger, not fear, something quieter. Respect, maybe. Or wonder. He shut off the screen. The room went dark. Far away on Epsilon 9, Elena Voss walked the outer corridors. Kevin followed close behind. His steps matched hers, slow and careful. She checked seals and power lines. Her flashlight beam danced across metal walls. "All good," she said. "No leaks, no weak spots." Kevin rumbled soft agreement. He nudged her shoulder with his lower head, gentle for something so big. She laughed and patted his plate. "You worry too much, big guy." They reached the central hall. The broken door still lay in pieces. She looked at it and sighed. "Guess we need to fix that soon." Kevin huffed like he agreed. She sat on a crate and pulled out a small data pad. She typed quick notes. Mission log, day 48, containment. Stable subject K-47, responsive and calm. Intruders repelled without violence. Note to self, humans still surprise even other species. She saved the file and looked up at Kevin. "You did good today. No one got hurt." The monster lowered his head. She scratched his favorite spot. He purred deep and long. Outside, the stars burned cold and bright. The galaxy waited for the next move. But on that station, two unlikely friends sat together. One small, one huge, both content. The war paused, for now. Weeks passed, after the Khazari shock troops left Epsilon 9. The station returned to a strange kind of normal. Elena Voss woke each cycle at the same time. She made coffee in the small mess hall. She checked systems. She talked to Kevin. The monster followed her everywhere like a giant shadow. His heavy steps shook the deck plates, but he learned to walk softer when she asked. One morning she sat at her console, reviewing old data logs. Kevin curled up nearby, his long tail wrapped around the base of her chair. 6 red eyes watched her fingers move across the screen. She glanced over and smiled. "You bored already, big guy?" Kevin rumbled low. It sounded like agreement. She reached out and scratched the plate under his smallest set of eyes. He leaned in, hard enough to rock her chair. She laughed and steadied herself. "Careful, you almost tipped me over." The console beeped. New signal incoming. Long range encrypted. She frowned. Most channels stayed quiet since the breach. Human voice came through clear and official. "This is Captain Reyes of the relief frigate Horizon. We are 2 hours out Epsilon 9. Prepare for docking and personnel transfer. State your status." Elena leaned closer to the mic. "Status stable. Containment secure. No active threats. 1 survivor. Dr. Elena Voss, plus 1 asset. Specimen K-47. All systems green. Welcome back." A pause came, then the voice returned. "Copy that. We read your earlier reports. The asset remains under control." "Under very good control," Elena answered. "Come see for yourself." She closed the channel and looked at Kevin. "They are coming to check on us. Probably with lots of questions and maybe some guns. Just behave, okay? No scary faces." Kevin huffed once, his version of yes ma'am. 2 hours later, the frigate docked. The airlock cycled. A squad of human marines stepped out first, rifles ready, armor sealed. Behind them came officers in crisp uniforms. Captain Reyes led the group, tall, straight-backed, eyes sharp. He stopped when he saw Elena standing in the corridor alone. "Dr. Voss," he said, "you look well." "Better than expected," she answered. "Coffee helps." The Marines scanned the area. Weapons stayed up. Reyes noticed the quiet. No alarms, no damage signs beyond the old breach. He gestured for his team to lower rifles. Then he asked, "Where is the asset?" Elena pointed down the hall. "Come meet him. He is waiting politely." The group moved forward, slow and careful. They reached the central hall. Kevin stood there, 8 meters tall, plates polished black from recent cleaning. 6 eyes blinked slow. He sat on his haunches like a patient dog, waiting for guests. The Marines froze. Rifles snapped back up. Reyes raised one hand. "Hold fire." Elena walked to Kevin and patted his flank. "Everyone, this is Kevin. Kevin, these are new friends. Be nice." The monster tilted his head. He sniffed the air once, then he lowered his main head until his eyes met Reyes at equal level. Threat? Just calm. Waiting. Reyes stared for a long moment, then he spoke low. Incredible. One Marine whispered, "That thing is real." Elena nodded. "He is real, and he is tame. As long as no one acts stupid, he stays calm." Reyes stepped closer. He kept his hands visible. No sudden moves. "How did you do this, Doctor?" Elena shrugged. "Simple, really. Stop being afraid. He feeds on fear. When fear stops, he stops being a monster." Turns out he just wanted someone to trust. Reyes looked from her to Kevin and back. The Empire knows about this now. The Khazari pulled back, but they reported everything. High Command wants options. Annex, reclaim, destroy, study. Elena crossed her arms. Study sounds nicest, but Kevin and I are not going anywhere. This station is home. Reyes nodded, slow. We expected resistance. We did not expect a guardian the size of a shuttle. Kevin rumbled soft, almost amused. Elena scratched his jaw. "You hear that, big guy? They think you are big." Out his chest plates a little. Reyes almost smiled. Then he grew serious. "We need to run tests. Confirm stability. If he is truly contained, we can negotiate terms. You keep the station, we keep the data. Maybe even a partnership." Elena thought for a moment, then she nodded. "Deal. But no cages, no probes, no separation. He stays with me." "Agreed," Reyes said. "We will set up remote monitoring first. Live feeds, behavioral logs, nothing invasive." "Good," Elena answered. "Kevin likes company, just not too much poking." The humans spent the next days on the station. Marines set up sensors, techs ran scans, officers asked questions. Elena answered them all. Kevin stayed close. He let them approach one at a time. He even let a young tech touch one claw plate. The tech pulled back fast, but smiled wide. On the last day, Reyes stood with Elena in the observation deck. Stars burned bright outside. Kevin lay nearby, head resting near her feet. Reyes spoke quiet. "You changed everything, Doctor. One choice to stay calm. One choice to trust. A whole war plan scrapped because of it." Elena looked out at the stars. Not war, just understanding. Sometimes the biggest weapons need the smallest kindness to stop working. Reyes nodded. "We will report back. Positive recommendation. You and your friend stay put, for now." The frigate left soon after. Engines flared white against black. The station grew quiet again. Elena sat on the floor next to Kevin. She leaned against his warm plates. He curled around her, protective and gentle. She pulled out her old metal cup, now dented from many refills. She sipped slow. "You know," she said, "we make a pretty good team." Kevin rumbled deep and content. His tail swept once, gentle across her legs. Far away, the Khazari Empire reviewed reports. Over-Prime Thalor sat in his command chamber. Vexkar stood before him. The War Prime looked different. Calmer, less hungry for blood. Thalor spoke. "You still believe the human words?" Vexkar answered, "I believe my eyes. A monster became a guardian because one human refused fear. That is power. Different power." Thalor rubbed his jaw. High Command debates. They fear what humans might do next. They respect what this one did. Vexkar waited. Thalor continued. "No invasion yet. Observation only. If the creature stays tame, we watch. If it turns, we act. But for now, the small human wins." Vexkar bowed his head. Victory without battle. Thalor clicked mandibles. Maybe the best kind. On Epsilon 9, Elena walked the halls. Kevin followed. She fixed the broken door with spare parts. He handed her tools when she asked. They ate together in the mess hall. She shared scraps. He ate slow, careful not to spill. Nights she read old stories aloud. He listened, head on pause, 6 eyes half closed. The galaxy turned, stars shifted, the war stayed cold. No shots fired, no blood spilled. Just two friends, one human, one monster, living quiet on the edge of everything. Monster, a human, walked out instead. And the universe learned something new. Kindness could tame nightmares, trust could stop armies, and sometimes the smallest voice carried the loudest strength.